So we're in your business math and we're going to go over your test 4. So let's go over it. So 2 starts out with 2 equivalence ratios joined by an equal sign. So 2 equivalent ratios joined by an equal sign is what? It's proportion. Whenever you have 2 ratios with an equal sign, it's a proportion. So, which is n. Second term in a ratio is also, the second term of a ratio is always called a consequent. Remember, the first term is the antiquent, and the second term is the consequent. You need to know that. So the second term is always the consequent, which is, consequent is f. So, number 3, measure of the number of days needed to collect accounts receivable. We just did that, the average collection turnover, which is C. So this is what is cash plus receivables divided by current liabilities. We knew that as our quick ratio, D. Number 5, more receipts. If we have more receipts than payments, then we have an excess, J. Number 6, keeping of money records is accounting, of course. That's A. So number 7, assets minus liabilities is our capital. That's E. Assets minus liabilities is always capital. That's how much capital we have. We take our assets and then we take away our liabilities and see what we have left. Number 8, comparison using division is a ratio. When you have two different, like a fraction, top number and bottom number, comparison using division is a ratio, which is O. Number 9, current assets divided by current liabilities would be our current ratio. Remember, current ratio is the current assets divided by the liabilities. And the quick ratio is the cash plus receivables over the current liabilities. So these two are, this is a quick way of doing it. This is all of our assets. So we have that as what, G? Business report card is our income statement. We have our business, any income statement is going to be our business report card, which is F. So we got that. So total annual sales divided by 365 is our average daily sales. We just did that in our last. Average daily sales is D. Take the total annual sales and divide it, you've got daily, because that's our daily sales. So number 12, more payments than receipts. If you have more payments and you have a lot of payments and you don't have enough receipts coming in, you're going to have a deficit, which is H. Answer in a division problem is always the quotient, isn't it? Our answer in a division problem is always a quotient. Find the quotient means you divide it. Number 13. That was number 13. Number 14. Gross profit minus the expenses. So if you take your gross profit and you take off your expenses, you're going to have your net profit, which is M. First term, number 15, the first term in a ratio is the antecedent, which is B. Remember I said anti is the first, anti means first, so antecedent, that's B. So that, remember the consequent is the second term, what we had up here. The second term is F, consequent, and the first term is B. So, okay, so let's go on to the next here. These are problems that you can do yourself. You should know these. You had these in grade school, or at least in junior high, you know. But anyway, this is just dealing with numbers and money and such. So number 16, remember how to, these are just adding. Of course, you're going to say 9 plus 7. And I kind of add that, 9 plus 7 is what? 16 plus 5 is 21. And then add 9 is 30. And then 32, 2, carry the 3. Then we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 15, carry the 1. You can see in this problem how we go through. So we have, you know how to do this. So, and this, you should have been able to do this. You just have to make sure you don't make any little mistakes. So number 17, we have, of course, this is a math problem. I kind of hope you can read my writing, but basically 6,003.17 minus 984.08. And then, of course, the reason I want to put this here, because you have to do a lot of borrowing. So 8, you're going to borrow the 1, make it 17 equals 9, 0 minus 0, 0. And then here 4, you have to take from 3, so you have to borrow, clear over here, you have to borrow from the 6, got 5, 9, borrow, turn that to 9, borrowed there, and 9 minus 8, 1, 9 minus 9, 0, 5. So this is a problem with a lot of zeros. It just, when you have to borrow, you go clear over here and borrow, make this a 10 and change it to borrow the 10 to the 9. You know how to do this. Number 18. So 3.15 times 21. Make sure you show all your work on all these. You can't just use a calculator. So 5 times 1 is 5. 1 here, 1. So it's 315. And then the next one, you can have a placeholder here. So you have 10, carry the 1. And you have 2, 3, 3, and then 6. So then you're going to go add 5, 1, 3 plus 3 is 6, and then 6. So you have the answers being 66. Make sure you put your dollar sign there. So number 19 is division problem. They want to know how to do a division problem. So these are all pretty easy. You should get these well. So 62 goes into 28.15. I always go ahead and put the decimal point up here right away, so you know there's a decimal point. And so then you have 285. So, and I found, and here's over here, you can put these out here, how I figured these out, just figuring out what number here. So 62 times 4 is 248, and 62, so it's 248. So I put 248, put 4 there, 248, then I subtract, 15 minus 8 is 7. 7 is 3, so I have 372, bring the 2 down, 372, 62 times 6 is 372, so it's 6. So my answer is 0.46. I didn't have to round it or anything. The answer was fine. Okay. Number 18 here. Number 18 is 3.15 times 21. Again. Number 18, we already did number 18. I won't do that yet. Let's go to number 20. Number 20 here, we have 1.03 goes into 5.768. So the first thing we have to do, see how I have these little, we have to move it over 1, 2 places, and we move this over 2 places, and we put it right up here. So make sure you move your decimal point 1, 2 places over there. Move this decimal point 1, 2, the same, and then put the decimal point up there. It's the first thing I always do. So I got the decimal point. So now 103 goes into 576. Well, you know it's going to go in there 5 times, because you can see 100. If you took 100, so 103 times 5 is 515. Then I subtract here, and I get 61. Bring the 8 down, 600, so you know it's going to be 6. So 103 times 6 equals 618. 618. So we know it's going to be, this equals 618. So we know that's 600. So 5.6. You don't have to round it because it turns out as 5.6. Now, on this one, there wasn't a dollar sign. All the rest of them, I think, make sure you put the dollar sign in there in the answers. So, that if there's not a dollar sign, then don't put a dollar sign in. Okay, let's go on to number 21. We're going through these pretty quickly. So, 21 here is 7.3 goes into 8, 0.9. Okay, so 0.9. So what we're going to do, we're going to first of all move that decimal point over, which I did here. Here's the decimal point, and I moved it right over there and stuck it up here. So we know exactly where that decimal point is. And so then I say 73 goes into, it's 209. It looked like an 8. It's 209. 209. So 73 times 2 is 146. 146 here, and so I subtract here. 9 is 3. I had to borrow there. That's not going to look like an 8, but I had to borrow there. 10 minus 4 equal 6, so I have 630. 73 times 8 is going to be 584. Put your work over here too. 584, so 630 minus 584, and you subtract here. You're going to get 46, then bring down the next 0. 46, and that is going to be 73 goes in there, and I put it up here. It's going to be 6 times. 6 times 6 is 438, so I put 438, subtract it here. I get 22, bring down another 0, and that 73 times 3 is 219, so I put that down there, and then 1. So this must be rounded to the nearest hundredth. So we have this answer here is 2.863. That's our answer, right? So we have to round it to the nearest hundred. So we're going to drop that 3 because it's going to round down. So your answer is going to be 2.86. 2.86 is the answer right here. So let's go on to number 22. So this is a multiplication problem, long one, but you need to put all your work in here. They just want to know that you can do this. So 6.38 times 0.492. Forget these decimal points right now until the end, and then we're going to count them all up at the end. So we have 8 times 2 is 6, then 2 times 3, 8 times 2 is 16, I'm sorry, carry the 1. So we have 6 and 1 is 7. And then 12. So that's our first thing is 1, 2, 7, 6. The next one is, we're going to leave that space there. It's going to be 9 times 8 is 72, and carry the 7. And so 9 times 3 plus that 7, okay, is 27 plus 7 will be 34, carry the 3. And so now we have 9 times 6 is 54 plus 3 is 57, right? And so the next one, 4 times 8 is 32, carry the 3, and so we have 4 times 3 is 12, 13, 14, 15, put the 15 there, carry the 1, 4 times 6 is 24, plus 1 is 25. So now we have to add them, 6, 9, 8, 13, carry the 1, would be 6, 11, carry the 1, and would be 3. So then we'll put this in, and then we have to find out how many, at the end of here, we have to find out how many decimal points. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we start from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to be 3.13896. We're going to round to the nearest hundred, they say. So it's going to be 3.1, and then the 8 rounds up, so it'll be 3.14, which is pi, huh? Now, I don't know if there's a dollar sign on these, so you look and see, because I don't have the copy, but if there's a dollar sign, you need to put it there. Number 23. Here we have number 23. It's just another subtraction with a lot of borrowing. So you have 5.3261 minus 2.9785, and so we're going to borrow 5 goes 5 minus 1, so you're going to have to borrow here. So I borrowed and changed this to a 5. 11 minus 5 is 6. So now 8 from 5, so I have to borrow again. So I borrowed here, made this 15. Minus 8 is 7. And so 7 from 2, I have to borrow again, make this 11. 11 minus 7 is 4. 9 to 3, we have to borrow again. So we borrowed here, made this 12. So 12 minus 9 is 3. And 4 minus 2 is 2. This is our answer. We want to round this off. 2.347. Okay, the 7 is going to round up to 5. So we have 2.35 to the nearest hundred. Okay? So that's number 23. Let's go on to number 24. So far, this has all been pretty easy, huh? So number 24 here at the top. So we're going to do cross multiply in there. This is the cross multiplying to find these. This is a proportion. That means x over 5 has to be the same proportion as 16 over 20. So to find x, we just do the cross multiplying. So these are fun to do. So anyway, so now we have x times 20 is 20x. So we've got 20x. And 5 times 16, which I wrote here, 16 times 5 is 80. So I have 16 times 5 is 8, so I have 20x equal 80. We're going to divide both sides by 20. So that makes it 1, cross that off. And so x equals 80 divided by 20 is going to be 8 divided by 2 is 4. And we want it to the nearest tenth, so we're going to say 4, and we're going to add a 0 for the nearest tenth, 4.0 to the nearest tenth. Okay? Let's do number 25. Same thing. So we do proportion. This is a proportion. We're setting up a proportion when you have an equal sign there. So now we have 17 over x equal 5 over 9. So now we're going to do cross multiplying. 17 times 9. So what's 17 times 9? You can write it over here so that they can see your work. 17 times 9 would equal 153. So I have 153. 17 to 9 is 153 equal. And then 5x on this side. So 5 equal 5x. So now we have to divide both sides by 5. So I divide this by 5 and cross out that 5, and I just get x. 153 divided by 5. Well, show your work in figuring this out. So 153 divided by 5. 5 goes in. 5 goes into 15 3 times. So we put that down. Then we have 3 and then 0 because 5 goes into 3 0 times. So we put 0. And so then we have, subtracting that, we have 35 goes into 36. So we have 30.6. So we have x equals 30. Our answer here is x equals 30.6. It's just cross multiplying to find x. It's easy algebra. So here we go, 26. This is a little bit harder because we have a improper fraction in the top of the ratio. So we have 4/3 divided by 10 equal 21 divided by x. It looks harder, but it's not. So we have 4/3 times x. So we have 4/3 x equal, and then 21 times 10 is 210. So we have 4x right here equal 210. This is what we have. So now we just want to take this and put it on this side, but we want to do it by the reciprocal. So x equals 210 times the reciprocal. So it's the reciprocal of this. We just change the top and the bottom. So we have 3/4. So we have 210 times 3/4. So if I say 210 times 3, which I did right here, you can do. 210 times 3 is 630. So then I have 210 times 3 is 630. So 630 divided by 4. So I did it over here, and you can do your work here. 630 divided by 4. You go through, 4 goes into 16 once, 4. So we have 23. 4 goes in here 5 times 20. And then 30 times 7. And then subtracting, you've got 30 times would be 7, 28, 20, and then 2 times 5. So it turns out exactly 157.5. The answer is right here, 157.5. Make sure you show all this work over here like I did. Okay, let's go on to number 27. What percent is the first number of the second? Okay, this is actually pretty fun to find percent. We want to know what percent 8 is of 15. So we write it 8 to 15, or best writing in a fraction, 8 over 15. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide. It's always dividing the bottom number into the top number because we're going to get a small number, because you know that this is going to be less than 1, because 15 over 15 is 1, so it's going to be less than 1. So here we go here. The 15 goes into 8 how many times? So I put the extra 0, make sure I put the decimal point right there where I have there's a decimal point right there. See where the decimal point is? So we have 15 goes into 80. 5 times 15 is 75. So I put that here. 5 times 15 is 75, 75. Subtract this, 50. Bring that one down, 50. 15 goes into 50 3 times. 3 times 50, right? 15 right here is 45. So I put 3. 45, subtracting another is 3, so it's going to be 5, 3, 3, 3 going on. So we're going to round this to the nearest tenth, which is the nearest percent. So we'll get this answer would be 0.53, right? Because we rounded it down. So our answer is 0.53. 0.53 turns to hundredths, which would be 53%. Whenever you have percent, you're going to move that decimal point over to make it 53%. Okay, let's go on to number 28. So 28 here, we have 12 and 16. So we have 12 16ths. So you know it's going to be less than 1. But anyway, so 12 over 16ths. I reduced this right away because then you can figure it out easy. So you divide this by the top by 4 and the bottom by 4, you get 3/4. So then you're going to put 4 goes into 3 how many times? 4 goes into 37 times, which is 4 times 7 is 28. And then 20, so it's going to be 0.75. So really just looking at it, you know it's going to be 75% if it's 3/4, right? But doing this here to show, so it's going to be 0.75, and then 0.75 is going to turn into 75%. So let's do number 29, the last of these percentages. So we have 5 eighths, 5 to 8, so 5 eighths. So you're going to do your division problem. 8 goes into 5 how many times? Remember, 8 goes into 5. So 8 goes into 50, put your decimal point right there first. So 6 times 8 is 48. And then you have 20. 8 goes into 20 2 times, which is 16. And so that'd be 2. And then 40. So 5, so we have 0.625. There's your thing, so you have 0.625 here. So it's going to be what? You're going to round that up to you're going to round this 5 up. So it's going to be 0.63, and then so it's going to be 63%. I didn't do the rounding here, but it's 0.63, and that rounds to 63%. These percent you should know how to do. Not that hard. Okay, that was number 29. Let's go on to number, that's a good one. Let's see. Sorry. Okay, now we have some problems we're going to be getting into here. So Blake Distributors inventory for June is $100,000. So let's see if I can put that so you can read it. So Blake Distributors is $100,000. They purchased $25,000 in goods during the month. And income from sales was $200,000 with $10,000 of returns. Our ending inventory was $30,000. Our operating expenses were $50,000. Okay, so they want to know percents of each one of these. So, but first, let's see, what was the amount of goods available for sale during June? So first of all, let's look at the goods available. So basically you have 100,000 right here. You have 100,000. That was inventory for 100,000. But then they purchased 25,000 more. So in June, they had 125,000. So the answer would be 125,000. 100,000 plus 25. 100,000 plus 25,000 equals 125,000. So number 31, what was the cost of goods sold? So the cost of goods sold would be 125,000, that's what we have here, minus you have an ending inventory that you have left that you didn't sell, which is 30,000. So it'd be 125,000 minus 30, which equals 95,000. So it'd be 95,000. You're going to make sure you do your work. 125,000 minus 30,000 equals 90,000. Because we had 125. That's how much. Just think how much goods did we sell? 125, but we have 30 left. We didn't sell, so you have to take off that 30. So you got 95,000. So next, number 32. What was the net sales? Well, the net sales here we have. So income sales was 200,000, but we had $10,000 worth of things returned. So net sales is going to be less. So it's going to be 200,000 minus 10,000 that we had returned, which would be 190,000. So number 33, what was the gross profit? So the gross profit, we're going to look, we have 190,000 here for net sales, right? So we've got 190,000, and then we're going to have to subtract the cost of our goods, because we got to pay for our goods, right? We pay something for our goods because if net sales were 190, the cost, we paid something for our cost of our goods before time. We paid $95,000. So then to find out our profit, our gross profit, we're going to take 190,000 minus 95, which was our goods sold, and we do that. You see how I borrowed and everything, and I got 95,000. So, and make sure you put your dollar signs in all of these too. What was the gross profit? 95,000. See how I did? I just basically took this. This is how much profit, net sales we made, and then I had to take out the cost of our goods because we had to buy our goods, and that was 95,000. So this is our gross profit, which is pretty good, 95,000. So next one says, was there an excess or a deficit? Well, let's look the next thing up here. What was our operating expenses? Were 50,000. So we got to take 50,000 off our gross. So we took off 95,000 and subtract the 50,000. Here's the 50,000 up here. We took off and subtract that, and we got 45,000. So 45,000 here, and so we have an excess. Not in the negative. 95 minus 50. So we have an excess of $45,000 we made. So our total excess is $45,000. So what was the net profit or loss? It was a net profit of $45,000 right here. Net profit of $45,000. Okay. So now we're going to go on to 36. These are different problems here. Round to the nearest hundredth. I hope you know how to do this. We've been doing this all the time. 4.3276. So this would be the hundredth. This is tens place, hundred place. So 4.3 is going to be 2 or 3. No, it's going to round up. 4.33. So number 37. Find the quick ratio to the nearest hundredth. Okay, the quick ratio. Remember how this is what we did in our chapter. So we want to find the quick ratio. So we have cash is 1,500. Our accounts receivable is 3,000. Our current liabilities are 4,000. So quick ratio is always cash plus receivables. So we added here. Here's where I added. Cash 1,500 plus 3,000 receivable equals 4,500. So this is 4,500. That's going to be our top of our cash receivable plus our cash. So now the current liabilities. So we're going to take 4,500 over 4,000. So if we took the zeros off, I got 45 over 40. You can turn that to 9 eighths because 5 goes in there 5 times and 8 here. So now you just do your calculations here. 8 goes into 9 how many times? Once, 1, 2, 5, 3. You do it onto, you're going once, 10, 2, 2 is 16, and then 40, you got 1.125. So that being rounded up, because it's the nearest, going to round up to the nearest hundredth, so you can round that up to 1.13. That'll be our quick ratio. Now, anything above 1 with the quick ratio means that our business is good, right? If it's under a 1, it's going to be our business is bad. So this business is good, so with that quick ratio. Let's go on to number 38. It says find the current ratio to the nearest hundredth. So we have the assets being $10,000 and the liabilities being $3,000. So we're just going to divide our assets by our current liabilities. Remember, liabilities at the bottom. 10,000 minus 3,000 would be 10 over 3. So if you do 10 over 3, you're going to divide 10 over 3 in the corner here. 3 goes into 10 3 times, 9, and then 1. 3 times, so it's 3.333. So we're going to round it off. We round it off to the nearest hundredth. We're going to get 3.33. Current ratios, if they're above 2, which this is 3, if they're above 2, they're going to be good. If they're below 2, they're going to be, your business is going to fail. So this business is doing well at 3.33 for their current ratio. So let's go on to number 39. I'm going to keep going through this because we're almost done. Find the average collection turnovers to the nearest whole day. So if our annual sales are $365,000, our accounts receivable are 5,000. Only 5,000. So our accounts receivable are 5,000, but our annual sales are 3. So we have to find out our daily sales. So we're going to take, this is pretty good because we have 365,000, we have 365 days. So we're going to find our daily sales. We're going to divide 365,000 by 365. So we get 1,000. So our daily sales that we sell every day are going to be 1,000. Now we want to know the average collection, so we're going to take 1,000, but we're going to take 5,000. That's our accounts receivable, 5,000 at the top, and divide it by 1,000. That's our daily sales. And so we take out all of the zeros, we get 5 days. That's a pretty easy problem. So number 40, 5,000 is borrowed from the bank. Okay, this we have to go back. This is a review question. I circled this because I don't know if you remember this. This wasn't in our chapter. So 5,000 is borrowed from the bank. That's our liabilities. We borrowed it, so it's a liability. Decide if it's a debt or a credit. Remember, to go back, look back in your book. Asset, so we have, basically asset. We're going to have, we're going to be talking about. Let me show in the I don't want to go in the book right now, but we have asset and click. Remember those two in your book. So you have liabilities, which are going to be capital, liability, and income. So asset, collectibles, expenses are on the top, but this bottom was liabilities. So liabilities at the end says click is credit. So liabilities is going to be credit. You can go look this up in your book. This is what we did last chapter. You don't get this right now, you might get it wrong because you don't remember, but it's important to remember. If you have a liabilities, it looks like it's going to be a debt with liabilities, but it's not, because it's capital, liabilities, income, they're credit. The last is credit. Okay. If it's a debit, it's going to be assets, expenses. Collections, expenses here would be your that is, I should go back in your book and show you the picture. But let's finish this first, then I'll go back and show at the end. So write a ratio that expresses games won to games played in team. So you have 5 games, and you won 5 games, and you lost 4 games. So how many games do you have played? 4 plus 5 is 9. So games played are 9, and games won are 5. So now we want to know 1 to how many games played would be 5 to 9. So your ratio would be 5 to 9. That's pretty easy, right? 42% analysis. So this is your last problem altogether. Is based upon $50,000. So we have the cost of goods sold is $20,000. The gross profit is 30, because we have here the sales here. This is 50,000. So you're gonna have cost of goods sold 50,000 or 50. Here's the sales. We got $50,000 worth of sales, right? And so you subtract to find the gross profit. 50,000 minus 20,000 is going to be 30,000. So your gross profit is going to be $30,000. You write that in there. And so now your expenses are $10,000. We're going to have the gross profit take off of your expenses, and you have your net profit being $20,000, right? So now we have these two things filled in, 30,000 and 20,000. So now you want to go to find the percent of each one of these. You have to look on. It's always going to be based upon $50,000. That's our sales. It's always going to be based on that. So the cost of goods. What was our cost of goods sold? 20,000. So we have 20,000 divided by, what was it? 50,000. So 20,000 divided by 50,000. Take off all those zeros, and you have 20 over 50. Well, I want to change it to 100 because you want to know percentage. So you have 20 times 2, and 50 times 2 is 100, and 20 times 2 would be 40. So you'd have 40%. And I'll see how that. 2/5 equal 4/10, which equal to 40%, or 40 hundredths, which equal 40%. So the same with the next one would be 43. Your gross profit, we looked up here, what was our gross profit? Remember, it was $50,000 minus $20,000 was $30,000. So we have $30,000 gross profit, and we put it over the sales, which is 50,000. So 30,000 over 50,000. Right here is 3/5, or you want to change it here, we're going to take to 60. So 50 times 2 is 100, and 30 times 2 is 60. So we got 60%. Let's go on to the next one. Expenses. What were our expenses? $10,000. $10,000 over $50,000. So $10,000 over $50,000 equal 10/50ths, which would times this by 2 equal 100. 20 hundredths, which would be 20%. Number 45. Net profit. Net profit is $20,000 over $50,000. So 20,000 over $50,000 here equal what? You're going to times it by 2 to equal 100, be 100. 20 times 2 is 40. It's going to be 40%. See how those are pretty easy to do. So the last thing I wanted to do is to show you that one portion that goes way back in your book. If I can remember what page it's on now. See if I can find it quickly. Okay. Here it is right here. We learned it here. This acid and the click. So basically assets. Oh, I said collectibles, but I meant cost of goods. So cost of goods, expenses, and debit. So if it's an asset, if it's a cost of goods, if it's an expense, it's going to be a debit. If it's capital, if it's a liability, like liability is what you owe to the bank or whatever you owe. If it's income, it's going to be a credit. You just have to memorize these. So you know, and it was a bank liability that we owed, so it would be a credit on that problem. So anyway, that's it.